Welcome to BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we've got Brownwood boys basketball coach Will Parker, his first year over there with the Lions, and they're off to a great start.
Yeah, doing a really good job. They entered this week at 2-0 in district, off to have a really nice overall record as well. And he's just done a great job, which is not surprising given what he had done at Dublin, where he coached for 5 or 6 years and did a really good job there as well. He's a guy that has kind of a unique style about him, comes in with an Uptempo style. They're going to get lots of shots off. They're going to press you defensively, and they do what they do really well. It's been kind of neat seeing Brownwood kind of adapt to that style of play, because it is a little bit unique. You don't see a whole lot of teams running that, particularly in high school, where you are able to kind of work the ball a little bit more. But it's fun to watch. His teams are always fun to watch. I got to see him a couple of times when he was at Dublin, and he's carried over that same level of enthusiasm and that same really high speed play at Brownwood.
To give you an idea of how quick that tempo is, I covered him at Stephenville last Friday, and it was all I could do just to do a play-by-play on paper, write down, the last scoring play, get that on paper, and then grab the camera to try and take some shots as they came back down the floor. And it was all I could do to get that camera in position before the shot was already off. They were already shooting by the time I had written that down and did this. They were already shooting. Their tempo is just off the chart, and they have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, and it is a lot of fun. They shoot a lot of threes, and they usually have some good shooters, some guys that can really shoot well from the perimeter. And then they spread out the scoring a lot. I think they can come into this week with 4 players averaging 14 or more points, which is, generally speaking, their teams whose leading scorer is not averaging that many points. And they've got 4 guys doing it just because they play at such a high speed and a fast pace and score so much. But I'm sure it's a lot of fun to be a part of for the players. It's a lot of fun to watch as a fan, and he's having success with it. So it's going to be fun talking to him about that success and about that style of play, and just kind of the transition from Dublin to Brownwood, because it's been a very successful one so far.
Before we get into this week's show, we need to thank our primary sponsor, Capital Farm Credit, with offices all over Texas, including Stanford and Abilene. Buy your own slice of Texas with Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. All right, and with that, we're going to take a look at our top matchups coming up this Friday, but also some of the top games that we did cover from last week. Tell us a little bit about what's going on the local front, what happened last week.
Well, it was a big week for the Wiley girls, who went into that week at 0-3 in district with their playoff hopes really looking pretty bleak. They pulled off what I think a lot of people would consider an upset at home over Lubbock High. They won that game really from wire to wire. They played really well and knocked them off, and then came back and followed that with a win over a crosstown rival Cooper on Friday. So they entered this week at 2-3 and really kind of reinvigorated their playoff hopes. They've got a big game Friday against Lubbock Coronado that if they can win that one, they're right in the thick of the mix. So that was a big week for the Wiley girls, and then for the Cooper boys as well, who were off to a great start in district. They entered this week at 3-0 in district. They beat Wiley on Friday and then turned around in less than 24 hours and really whipped Lubbock Coronado in a makeup game from one that was postponed due to illness. They played that one Saturday at noon. And a
big game Friday night with Lubbock, Monterey, and Cooper too. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge game. So so that'll be a really fun one. Both of those teams entered this week undefeated, sharing the district lead at 3-0. But that Coronado game, the real notable performance in that one, the Cougars got 35 points from Colin Reed, senior guard, who was kind of handling more point guard duties because Andrew Gonzalez was still out due to illness. He missed both games last week. And then Colin just really stepped up, had a huge week. And they got 19 points in each of their games last week from Jalen Cherry. And then Jalen Rivera, their junior forward, he reached double digits in both games too. So that trio has really been big for Cooper, which is playing really well. You look at their record, they entered this week with 7 losses. And I think 5 of those, if you looked at them and added it up, have come by about a combined 12 points. So they lost a lot of close games early in the season, and now they're kind of hitting their stride and playing really well. So I'm excited about that game on Friday. That's going to be a big one.
All right. There's some other ball games to keep an eye on Friday. Some of the games that I'll be looking at on the boys' side early at Brock. This is going to be an important ball game for both teams. it's not a mathematical elimination game for early, but if they lose, they're going to have a hard time even thinking about catching Peaster at that point, because they'll be a couple of games, actually 3 games behind them if they lose that ball game. Brock needs this win as well. They don't want to be 2 games behind their arch rival. So that's going to be a big matchup early at Brock this Friday. Lampasas at Brownwood. That has district title implications written all over it. Both clubs coming into Tuesday night were 2-0. This could be for sole possession of first place, depending on what happens on Tuesday night. Of course, this is taped prior to Tuesday night. Also, we already touched on Lubbock, Monterey, and Cooper Friday night, but TLCA is a surprisingly good ball club, and they're going to be facing Jim Ned, the boys. That's going to be a big ball game. Also, TLCA is one of the teams that is a threat to Jim Ned, a threat to Wall, etc. That's a talented ball club. They're going to be on the road at Jim Ned Friday. And then, of course, Monday against Electra. This is a Class 1A matchup up at Electra. Monday has district title hopes in District 16 1A, facing a team from Electra that was undefeated in that league coming into this week. Friday night, it's going to be a big one. That's going to be on the road for Monday.
And then looking at the girls' side, we got a few interesting games as well. We mentioned Coronado at Wiley. That'll be a big game in District 4-5A. And then in Class 4A in District 6, this is a really big game. We've got Glen Rose at Stephenville, which could help decide that district title. Stephenville dropped the first game to Glen Rose 43-35. So if they want to get back in the district title picture, this is a game that they have to win. And this one's at Stephenville, so it's a home game for them. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And then a game, a big game in District 6-3A, not at the top of that district, but for that 4th playoff spot, Ballinger at Clyde. These 2 teams are tied currently in that 4th spot, or entered the week anyway, tied in that 4th spot at 4-5. So the winner of that one's going to have a leg up on the other in that race. So if these teams want to make the playoffs, this is a big game for both of them. And then one other one that I'll be keeping an eye on is Colorado City at Forsan. Forsan got a big win over Miles last week before dropping one to Coleman. That's a really competitive girls district. Right now, Colorado City is in 2nd place behind Roscoe, which is kind of pulled away a little bit. So that second spot is wide open, and this will be a big game in terms of helping decide that. So there's some interesting games as you'd expect to be this time of year in the girls' side as well. But those are the ones that I'm looking most forward to.
And with that, it's just about time to bring on Brownwood boys basketball coach Will Parker. But before we do that, we want to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, Capital Farm Credit, who brings you these Wednesday night podcasts throughout the school year. Also, for the love of the game broadcasting, and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of KLX 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, KATX 97.7 FM out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KR 1430 AM out of Breck, and 98.5 FM KWBY out of Ranger. That is for the love of the game broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or used vehicle, give Rob a shout. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Call him at 254-559-2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And finally, Phil Hill of the Abilene Realtors Group, big supporter of local athletics. If you're in the market, give him a shout at 325-669-5153 or go to his website at philhillproperties.com. And with that, Mr. Youngblood, it is just about time to bring on Coach Will Parker, a guy he is an up-tempo guy. If you watch one of his basketball teams, it's like almost watching a tennis match. You know, you're like this all night long. It's a lot of attacking, there's going to be some scoring when his ball club comes to town. You're going to see some scoring. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, they get up and down the floor fast. That's something that there's a lot of fun to watch, as we've mentioned before, and I'm sure it's a ton of fun to do if you're a player. But it's going to be fun talking to Coach Parker, and it looks like he is just about ready to join us.
And joining us now, Brownwood head boys basketball coach Will Parker. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you guys for an opportunity to come on.
Coach, I had a chance to see you guys the other night down in Stephenville. Ball club was looking really good, off to a fast start. In your estimation, what are the biggest keys so far to the success that you've had?
Yeah, we've had great senior leadership. Anytime you look at teams, I think you look at the kind of kids you have, and we've definitely got a good group of guys. 6 seniors, 5 of them start for us. And so, hats off to Coach Daly, who was in Brownwood before I was there, and he did a great job with those guys, and I just inherited a good group.
And that actually kind of leads me into the next question, was that I got to see that group at the end of last year in their playoff game against Burke Burnett. And really by the end of last year, they were playing pretty well. And obviously a lot of those guys returned this year for you. Just what were your thoughts when you first got to Brownwood and kind of saw the talent you had to work with?
Yeah, excitement for sure. I think everybody knew when I got to Brownwood kind of what we did at Dublin, and how we played, and the style, and kind of their expectations of what it was going to be. And so getting to go to some practices at the end of May and seeing them play over the summer, it was really exciting. We were missing our point guard at the time. Jacob had come off of Tommy John surgery in February, and so I didn't really get to see the speed that we're able to see now on the court. He's really kind of our motor out there. And so, but watching Bryson, Luke, Christian, Weston, all of those seniors that we've got, they've done a great job for us. And, anytime you inherit a ball club with a lot of seniors, you wonder how well they're going to be able to adjust because they've been coached so differently, or not necessarily, bad or good, but just different. And those guys, they came in and listened and really bought in early. And so that's a huge part of why we're having success right now.
Yeah, and you kind of lead me into this one as well, because I was going to talk about that adjustment, because like you said, there's some philosophical changes between what they had done previously to what they're doing now. I guess what were maybe some of the biggest challenges to adjusting to what you do?
Yeah, to me, when you talk about pressing for 32 minutes and constant pressure, I don't know if players really understand how difficult that is to get in that rhythm to play like that. Some players can play for 26, 25 minutes with just a minute or two rest here every now and then, but a lot of players, they really need more time than that, especially because it's nonstop. You score a bucket, you turn around, you got to find your guy, you got to find your area, and you play. And then, offensively, of course, we're going down the court as fast as we can. And so, adjusting to that, I think every kid wants to play fast. It sounds fun. It's really difficult to do. But at the same time, I think you've got to be able to come in with an open mind. And those guys did it. Those guys came in, and when I got in there in August and we started to work, those guys would run through a brick wall if I told them to. I mean, that's the kind of mentality they have. They believed in what we do. We talk about 5 things in our culture and what we have to have. And the number one thing is faith. You got to believe in each other. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your coaches, and you got to believe in the system that you're running. And so that faith has really kind of been our foundation.
Coach, tell us how you got, it's obviously your philosophy. You're an up-tempo guy. Tell us about your origins and that style, what got you involved in that, and the biggest advantages as you see it. Why do you believe in it?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I played high school basketball at Fort Worth Southwest. We were a run and gun team under Scott Gray. He would go on to lead in 2007. He'd lead Southwest to a state championship game against South Oak Cliff, which we ended up losing the last 2 minutes. But I played for him, had an opportunity to go back after I graduated from college and go coach for him. And so I got to play it and coach it, and just kind of fell in love with it. I love basketball. I think it can do so much for kids. I think it can just teach so many different things. But as far as the up tempo goes, I remember I had a decision to leave Southwest and go to Haltom, Big 6A on the north side of Fort Worth, and kind of be in with some bigger schools, Trinity, Colleyville Heritage, all the Keller schools, Northwest, Trinity. Just some big schools up there. And so I got to see a lot of different kinds of basketball, which really opened up my mind to a lot of different styles of play. But when I had an opportunity to go to Dublin and be a head coach, when I sat down with Coach Servetto, I talked to him about what my idea of bringing this up tempo style, out to, the big country out here. And, he loved it because their football team was kind of the same way. They wanted to go. And so it really kind of flowed well from football to basketball season. And so we ran with it, and the kids loved it. And so I just thought, hey, if it worked in Dublin, I think it'll work in Brownwood.
Coach, you mentioned Haltom. I'm actually a Haltom grad, so I know the area.
Oh,
well.
there you go. All right, nice.
Yeah, for sure. And then one of the neat aspects of what you do, and we saw this at Dublin as well, is it gives lots of kids opportunities to contribute. You look, I think y'all got 4 kids averaging 14 or more points. So a lot of guys getting involved in that offense. Just I guess to talk about that aspect of it with the where you do have lots of kids contributing, particularly on the offensive end.
Yeah, when you talk about building a program, you don't want to just have 5 or 6 guys that you focus on. You never know what's going to happen down the road. And so when you have more offensive, opportunities, when you have more defensive opportunities, I don't know exactly how many possessions we're averaging a game, but when you have that many possessions in a game because of how fast we play, it just means that you're going to have more shots. And when you have more shots, there's more shots to go around. And so to me, we're able to utilize so many different kinds of kids in our system that whenever we're in practice, we can have 15 guys in practice and have a productive practice with all of them. It's not just those 5 or 6 that we're trying to get ready for games. And so I think guys and players, they really buy into that. It's a lot easier because they feel like they're a part of what you're trying to do. And so, when you have that, there's some managerial stuff that, trying to make sure everybody still feels involved, just like every coach goes through. But to me, I think when you're playing so many players and so many players have opportunities, it's so much easier and even more fun for players to be a part of.
Coach, the other night, when you were playing at Stephenville, when we talked about this after the game, late in the game, when a lot of guys would have been thinking about protecting a lead and maybe killing a little bit of clock and then just going to the free throw line, it's like that thought process, it didn't enter into your mind at all. You called a couple of set plays after some stoppages. You called a timeout with a set play coming off the timeout and scored both those times. And really, they were keys to winning that ball game. Can you talk a little bit about that? It's like it's going to be attack with you guys.
Yeah, I think I'd like to think we have the ability in our arsenal to run some clock and take some time off of it. It's one of those things that we do work on. But at the same time, I think, especially on Friday night, when you look at the scenario, officials were letting us play. It was a physical game. It was one of those things where we knew they had to come out and be aggressive on defense. And so, when I told them in those timeouts and when I had a chance, I said, listen, we're going to get opportunities to get to the rim. And if we can get to the rim and go score, we're going to take those opportunities. And I think, like I said, we've got some seniors on the team that know what a good layup is and a good shot is in those situations. And, Jacob got to the rim that one time on that give and go from out of bounds. And then, of course, Bryson threw a great pass to him. And then we ran a backdoor play that got Bryson a layup, which he actually missed, but Weston was right there to put it back in. So, it's one of those things. We've run those numerous times in practice. And like I tell my team, when at the end of the game, when people are going to come out on us, when they have to, they can't afford to let the clock run. Man, what a great opportunity for us to get in there and go get some easy buckets. And if it's not there, it's not there. But, like Friday night, they had to come out and guard us. And so the back doors were there. And so the guys just, played good basketball and they got to the rim.
Coach, y'all are in a quality district, particularly the top where you look at you guys and Lampasas and Glen Rose and those guys. Just what are your thoughts on this district and on this district race?
Ooh, man, it's going to be a dogfight. I think I said that the other night. That's just how I feel. There's just been some close games all across the district, some upsets, if you will. I don't know if it's an upset or not, but 2-3 point games all the way across. And, Gatesville is out there competing hard with Stephenville. And, we had a good matchup with Stephenville. And then, of course, Lampasas and Glen Rose were going at it. So, I think as you look around the district, we've all got different players and different kinds of ways of playing. And so, the chess match, if you will, I think is going to be really fun to watch, see how it plays out. Lampasas, of course, they've got great shooters and great guys that returned from a good team last year. Glen Rose graduated a bunch of guys, but number 3 and number 10 for them, Arrington, and I should know his name. I'm sorry. But anyways, those guys are playing really good basketball right now. And then, of course, Stephenville, we got every punch they could throw on Friday night. So, any team can win on any night. There's so many different things that, are playing into this season from COVID to injuries to all these different things. And so, you better be ready to play. It's next man up if somebody goes out, and we've just got to be ready every single night.
Can you reflect a little bit more about your time at Dublin? I always thought that you brought a lot of fun to that program. I thought that the kids and the community responded well, and anytime you went to a game at Dublin, it was going to be a fun evening.
Oh, well, thank you for that. That means a lot. I have to attribute that to Coach Cervetto. My relationship with him over the last 6 years was incredible, and he brought that same excitement and energy every single day to work. And to me, when you have a leader like that on your campus, it really sets the tone for everybody else. And so, if anything, I was trying to bring that same kind of excitement and enthusiasm and positive energy that Coach Cervetto brings, because as you know, I mean, what he's done in Dublin has just been incredible. And so I was fortunate enough to learn so much from him over those last 6 years. And, the conversations we shared behind closed doors and in the long car rides to the district games and that we went and watched. And, it was just times that I'll really cherish. I call him and text him still, and we've got a great relationship where I know I can call him if I ever have any questions. And, I think, like I said, playing that up-tempo style, we got the band involved, we got the community there. It was a great place that really embraced what we were trying to do. It wasn't just me. It was the kids that loved playing it. It was the parents that loved watching it and supported every step of the way.
Every coach has a coaching tree with a bunch of influences. Tell us about yours. Who are the biggest influences on your career?
Yeah, I guess you start with Coach Scott Gray, who was my high school coach. But when I graduated from Texas Wesleyan, I went on to be an athletic trainer at Dunbar High School. I shared an office with Andrea Robinson. She was a state championship coach at Dunbar, and then of course in DeSoto this past season. She's just legendary. We talked. I got to guard some of her best players on their state championship run that year in 2005. And then, of course, Robert Hughes, it was his last year at Dunbar, the all-time winningest high school basketball coach in the country. And so I got to be in the locker room and listen to him talk. And, I think those moments are things that I might have taken for granted because I was an athletic trainer. I wasn't even in coaching really yet. And then when I went to Southwest, I got to be with Coach Gray. Todd Shelton was the head coach at Haltom when I went over there. He would leave Haltom and go to North Texas to be an assistant coach there. He knew Coach Cervetto when he was at Crowley Middle School, and Coach Cervetto was at Stephenville Middle School, and so they knew each other from being in each other's district. And their personalities, man, they're the kind of guys that know everybody, that just upbeat guys. And so when the Dublin job came open, he called them and said, I got this guy that would be perfect for you down there. And so, those guys and Coach Robinson, definitely, if you look at coaching tree, man, I've been blessed to be around some great basketball pedigree. I really have.
And last one, and this is kind of a fun question we ask some of our basketball coaches, and it probably applies less to your team than any in the in our area, maybe in the state. But one thing we like to ask is just about the shot clock. We like to ask our coaches whether that's something they would be in favor of at the high school level or not. So I just kind of get your thoughts on that one to close us out.
Yeah, well, they won't need one in our game, so it doesn't matter to me. But no, I would love to not have it in there. To me, it helps it sets us apart. I think if you add the shot clock, I still think we'd play faster than anybody. But I think basketball would be more fun probably with it. But I like that you can do so many different things. It doesn't bother me that there's teams that are going to try and stall or hold the ball on us. I don't think you see it near as much as people talk about. I saw a highlight from a game, I think this past weekend, where they held it for, I can't remember how many minutes. And I don't see that around very often, but no, if they want to add it, but I don't think it's not going to change what we do. If anything, I think it's going to make the game faster. And so by all means, let's do it.
I am the worst predictor of what coaches are going to say. Every time, before we ask these hypothetical questions of coaches, I always predict, yeah, he's going to say this, he's going to say that. I always get it wrong. Always. Yeah. I would have guessed that you've been just adamant, being for it because it wouldn't affect you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I like being different though. I like that we have a unique style, and when you add the shot clock, I think it makes people play faster, and that's fine with me too. But I kind of like that, hey, when you play Brownwood, you're gonna know you played Brownwood, and so to me, yeah, that's a lot of fun. But what do you think is the percentage of coaches that are for it or against it?
I think a lot of coaches are for it, but the thing is, what one thing that we have heard consistently from coaches is they don't think it's practical, because I mean,
Correct.
it's already a problem getting a guy just to run the scoreboard
Correct.
and keep the book. And now you're going to have a guy doing the shot clock too.
Especially at the smaller schools. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So a lot of them like it, but they don't think it's practical. So
I agree.
Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time, and we'll be keeping an eye on you for the rest of the season.
Well, thank you guys. And again, I know I told you before, but man, on behalf of all the coaches, man, we just appreciate how hard you guys work and what you do for the kids in our area. We really appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach. We appreciate you having you on.
And that was Brownwood boys basketball coach Will Parker. Always enjoyed his programs. I mean, it's always a fun night when you go, and it's never boring to watch a Will Parker team play. They're always attacking, and win or lose, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you like offensive basketball and full court pressure defense, they're a lot of fun to watch. I think it's a style that is exciting. It's an exciting style of play, and you can tell the kids are enthusiastic and are really bought into what they're doing. So it makes for a really fun night of basketball. And I just like Coach Parker. We've dealt with him obviously for several years now from his time at Dublin. Always a great interview after the game. Always super classy, win or lose. So it's really cool to see him having the success he is at Brownwood. Although not surprising at all. I think we both expected him, particularly with the roster they inherited, to have some success, and it's been nice to see him do that. This is a good Brownwood team, and I'm excited to see what they can accomplish.
And with that, it's about time to wrap up the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 separate subscription packages here at BigCountryPreps.com. We got a monthly for $5 a month. We've got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we've got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month. $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage.
We'd also like to remind you that if you see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, those are available for purchase. You can purchase a digital download for just $7. We also have some prints and keepsakes available. So make sure you check those out. As you're scrolling through the site, you will notice that we take a lot of photos from these games we're at. That's something we enjoy doing, and it's something we're very proud of here at BigCountryPreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.